at your hair. It's a mess. Is this thing rolling?
Yeah, we started.
So
It's fine.
there's like 1 million sales this week. What did you get? Anything interesting?
Got some 3 terabyte hard drives.
Yeah, we got a lot of 3 terabyte hard drives. They were on sale for $89. So we got a lot of 3 terabyte hard drives. And Zweihander's on sale right now because everyone's like, going buy crazy. I'm like, I shall capitalize and everyone will buy. I'll roll around in a bathtub full of money, and I will make that money $3.33 at a time. So you guys can go grab Zweihander. It's our 8-bit music that you hear at the beginning and end of this video. I've been getting these emails. One guy actually emailed me this week, and he was like, dude, I keep listening to your thing, and it's growing on me, and one of these days I'm bound to pick it up. And now is the time. Sale, sale, buy, buy. Oh my God. Was that strong enough for the sales?
Yeah, I think we need some product placement, but...
oh yeah, we need to get like some of these T-shirts. I should be wearing the T-shirts, but I don't have any of the I don't buy our own T-shirts because they're garbage. Really, I wouldn't buy this crap. Would you?
Yeah, I kind of want the Washington shirt.
I do too. They're gonna send us some eventually, but I'm paying money for it, like actual money. I don't know. I mean, it's not like they're made out of the high quality cotton, which they are actually.
Yeah, it's a kind of a high thread count.
Yeah,
it would kind of be awesome.
But no.
Product placement, Taco Bell.
You can now send 10 gigabyte files with Gmail, thanks to the partnership of Google and Google.
The Gmail division has partnered with the Google Drive division.
After much negotiations.
It's now on your mail drive.
Yeah. So anything that's in your Google Drive or whatever, or anything that's, you can upload things while you're in Gmail to your Google Drive and then send them to people, and the file limit is 10 gigabytes. That's quite a lot. That's quite a bit bigger than FAT32.
Yeah, on the U.S. internet connections, it's only going to take 3 years to upload a 10 gigabyte file.
Yeah, but if you guys are in Croatia, good to go. We've been talking a lot about software patents. I mean, a lot about software patents. They seem to really get in the way these days. And when I say in the way, I mean of innovation. Now, this guy, Alex Tabarrok, what is that? That's an awesome name. He needs to be in like a sci-fi movie. I am Tabarrok from Pentar Dragos, here with my spear of iniquity to stop these patent trolls.
No, it's a spear of enlightenment.
Spear of enlightenment, yes. Iniquity.
I shall beat you with my spear of enlightenment.
So Alex Tabarrok, there he is, made this really cool video, and it's just sort of a case in point that software patents are completely irrelevant in this day and age. And he goes to show what. It's 2 minutes, and it's a 2-minute video. I'm just going to let you guys watch it because I'm going to sit here for 2 minutes and try to explain what he succinctly does with great cartoons. But we do have sort of a point, and you had a point with this as well.
Okay, so software, like, you can't patent an idea, and that's a tenet of the patent system. Most people don't understand that. So when you have an idea for something, you can patent an implementation, you can patent an invention, but you can't patent the idea.
Right.
So the idea of an electric motor, well, there's a ton of different implementations, and unless you foresee all the different implementations, you can't patent them all.
But they're allowing that to happen with software. Like if you have swipe to unlock, they're allowing that one idea of what the software does. It's just an idea of what it does. They're allowing that to basically be a blanket over every type of software that does a similar function. And that's what has to stop, and that's really destroying innovation.
Yeah, that's really a problem because the implementation of swipe to unlock on an Apple device and the implementation of swipe to unlock on an Android device are as different as, night and day.
And at least the courts in England picked this up and they were like, it's different, duh. And then the case was over. But I'm really worried about just the IQ in this country. I don't even know. So Samsung has come under some fire because of the treatment of their employees and the facilities that they have in China. And now Foxconn is usually the one that takes all the heat. And Foxconn makes everything. They make a lot of the Apple stuff. In fact, almost all the Apple stuff. But they make stuff from just about any company. But now Samsung is in trouble too because the people are saying from the audits that they're forcing their employees to work 16-hour days and they only get like 1 day off per month. And some of these people are 200 hours over, or 220 hours per month over the overtime limit.
Oh, and there's some underage too.
Yeah, they said that there's some that are under 16, but that's...
allegations.
Yeah, that's... Even if they're under 16, Samsung says they have no documented proof that there's anyone underage working there, so...
The underage thing is hard, too, because culturally, sometimes those are the breadwinners of the family, and culturally, like, that's the normal thing to do, and if they're not working for Samsung, they're doing something else worse.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to make that call.
Well, the here Business Week article, he does say something interesting, because a lot of these people are relying on audits, which are very unreliable. And what he says is perhaps they should have some sort of an internal system where the employees could give feedback, and that way Samsung can monitor it that way. And if there's a huge outcry, like maybe 90% of their employees are saying that something is wrong, maybe they should do something about it. So that's one idea. I'm not sure if there is a solution. It seems that greedy, sociopathic CEO bastard types just abuse people and do not realize that people are humans. They are automatons.
I thought it was pretty crazy that the Costco CEO came out and said, well, our employees are not automatons. And that made the news. Like,
that was big news.
Yeah.
It was more than, it was like, oh my God.
Our employees are human beings? What? No.
That was like the top article on Reddit for a while, because people are like so shocked that someone said that. Yeah.
Just because it's widespread doesn't mean we got to accept it.
Last week we talked about Andrew Arnheimer. Remember Andrew Arnheimer? He's the hacker that got into AT&T's database and all the iPad users. He was collecting their email addresses.
Yep.
And he got in big trouble. What was the sins? Like some...
Oh, he's found guilty. They haven't sentenced him yet.
Yeah, so he's in big trouble. But here's an article on Wired, because last week we said, you know what, he didn't really do anything wrong. He just pissed off the wrong people. And right here is an article on Wired that says that the iPad hackers' real crime was embarrassing the wrong people. And it's a very well-written article. You guys should read it. And Wired, if you watch our show, hi, Matt Blaze. You got a nice name, Matt Blaze. Is that your real name? Trying to be an actor or something with that name, Matt Blaze? Moving on. Cyber Monday hit $2 billion on e-commerce. It was $1 billion on Black Friday. So that's all. I don't really care. It's just a record-breaking type thing. People are buying money, and they're not trampling each other. Did you see any good trampling videos?
Oh yes, there were quite a few where somebody was beating somebody to death for a cell phone or something.
It's usually something inane like a blender. I mean, it's like, was it for an Xbox or for like a awesome big screen TV? No, this guy just had this Furby blender, and is Furby still a thing?
Yeah, they just came out with a new Furby.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, he's got like LCD eyes or something. I don't know. It's bad.
All right, Apple has fired Richard Williamson. Apple doing this because, they've been kind of hush-hush. They knew that iOS 6 maps sucked, but they didn't really say much about it. Now they fired this guy, finally. So that's, to me, them saying, all right, it was a fail. But we got rid of the guy who made it. I really like some of the maps. I mean, look at these wavy roads and stuff. That's awesome. I want. It's like a Dolly painting or something. I want to live in his happy little world. It's like his interpretation of how the world should be. I liked it. I'm going to miss him so much.
What I would really like to see is somebody come out from Apple and say, okay, this really wasn't that bad for a 1.0. Like, in terms of a 1.0, this is a really good 1.0.
I can't believe they got that much done in this amount of time, because they've got to compete. They have to compete with Google, who has been doing this for years, and they have a vast database and 1 million employees going on this project.
Google probably has 100,000 man-years of development in their maps, and that Apple was able to do as much as they did with a relatively limited workforce and amount of time. This is amazing.
They still should have just used what was available.
Yeah, let's just leave it to Google.
Yeah. Last week we also talked about the Human Rights Watch. They wrote a paper about the dangers of robots with the license to kill. So if you guys remember that, if you don't remember that, just click on the screen. We'll put a link to last week, and you should go watch last week, because you should watch all the videos, because the hits make me just roll on the floor like I'm a cat on catnip, okay? I have no idea. Anyway, the Pentagon came out and they said, you know what? This is not going to happen. This is me doing an American, Army type guy. This ain't going to happen, y'all. What's going to happen is that if any robot or drone is going to kill someone, there is going to be human involvement every time. They guaranteed this, right? And they also said that here's the phrase they keep reporting: appropriate levels of human judgment. They frequently said appropriate levels. Appropriate. That word is the one that I want to just hang in the air. What is appropriate? What's appropriate to them and what's appropriate to the people getting shot might be quite different. So anyway, that's what they're saying there. Now,
we have a deep memory here at Tech Syndicate.
Computer virus hits the drone fleet.
Yeah, this is actually from last year. But they were saying, oh, yeah, we're still flying drones around. They got viruses on them, but it don't hurt nothing.
Yeah, they said we can't figure out if this is malignant or not. Is that what they said?
Yeah.
Is that even a word that you can use with the computer virus? I mean, it's a virus. It's
It's a virus that's making the system run unpredictably.
It's not a tumor. It's a computer virus. It's totally different. I mean, you can have a tumor and you can live with it, but a computer virus, it could change things at any time. You don't know what's going to happen.
Well, is it ever the situation that if you could remove the tumor, you would totally remove the tumor? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, what if they tell you is like, well, you know, I wouldn't go, you know, high altitude ballooning because your tumor might burst.
Here's the funnier thing: they got this virus. They don't know where it came from. They will not comment on it because they do not comment on things that are like, you know, a compromise in security, and they do not compromise on the steps they are taking to get rid of it. They have said that it's still there, and it's a keylogger. They know that they're like, yeah, we're just gonna fly these drones around. We know that it's logging everything, but we don't think it's any big deal. They don't know where it came from.
Yeah, this is from last year.
So let's say that we create these new drones, and they don't have any human involvement at all until the end when they're like getting ready to shoot someone. That is when a person is notified, and they're like, hey, is this, you know, make an appropriate judgment on this. Well, suppose we've got drones that are that autonomous. Suppose they get a virus. Suppose there's like 1 million of these drones at a military base. They get a virus, they kill everybody in the military base, and then they're running around the middle of America. Or the middle of somewhere else, just killing everything. I know this sounds far off, but I don't think it's that far out. I mean, do you think it's that far out?
I don't really think it's that far off because there's not enough protections and controls in these kinds of industrial systems. They're just not built that way.
Yeah, and why would they be? They've never needed that kind of control before, but this is a different age. So 2 homes in Indianapolis just blew up, right? And the CIA has been called in on, I mean, not called in, the CIA has been, I guess, called into question for some sort of an absurd notion that this was caused by a couple of Hellfire missiles that were fired from drones, U.S. drones, that is. At first, they were like, it's a gas leak, you know, and then gas leak blew up, you know, like 5 houses were involved in this. Boom. They said, this says 2 on the thing here, but I think it was actually 5 houses that were severely damaged. A couple were just completely obliterated. And I'm not sure casualties, I don't know.
It was 18 houses had serious damage and 2 houses were completely destroyed, leveled.
Yeah.
So it goes beyond like a typical gas leak explosion. This is like, you know, an nth degree gas leak explosion.
This is like a Hellfire missile.
Yeah. Well, you know,
or something like it.
The whole Hellfire missile thing is a little bit tinfoil hat. Okay, it's a lot tinfoil hat. But supposedly there's this report from the Kremlin.
The Kremlin, yes.
Yeah, so, you know, we're getting our news from the KGB now, I guess.
Well, I mean, they're like, why would they do that? Why would the KGB be like, yeah, we had this on our radars. Well, you guys didn't see it?
The Kremlin report apparently said that their thing tracked 2 Hellfire missiles launched over Indianapolis. But, you know, this was the most reliable-looking article we could find on that. And most of the other ones were like, you know,
it's freaking Vice.com. I mean.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, it's motherboard.vice.com, but still,
they're all tinfoil hat and varying levels of insanity, but they never get into the green on the sanity there.
What we want to put out there is the probability or the possibility that this kind of thing could happen if something got a virus or someone hacked into things, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, think about what happens if the drone blue screens. The drone blue screens and
let me just fire a missile if it's running if it's running Windows 8 or Windows Vista. At least it'll boot quickly. So you were going back to like the whole. You said that, you know, these things don't have a lot of protection on them. Let's talk about the nuclear codes from what, 1977.
Yeah, up until 1977, the launch code on the nukes was all zeros. So it's like, oh, there's other protections on these things. I would wager that no, there's not.
Yeah, I mean, if that's historically the nuclear, that could have like ended the Earth, and all you needed to do was go up and press 0 8 times, and you could launch nukes.
Yep.
You know why? Because the military can't remember all these codes. That's the reason they cited, because the military didn't want to remember all these numbers and stuff.
If we need to launch those nukes, we need to be able to know how. It's like,
can we just set it up so I can slap it a few times and it knows that it's me slapping it?
Yeah, that's really disturbing. It's a wonder that we, you know, made it through that.
Having said all this, there are some people out there doing the right thing. Cambridge University has decided to research the risk of a robot uprising and one that would wipe out humanity. They are actually taking this seriously. Cambridge University. What they want to do, I guess their real goal with this, is to put this in front of the scientific community and have them take this seriously. Because we will be the first species, when singularity occurs, we will be the first species to create a new sentient being that is on a higher level than us, that is more evolved than us. So we're going to sort of break natural selection.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, we'll be the first species to do that. We're that smart.
You know, that's the very foundations of early literature is what happens when we build machines that can do all the work that a human could normally do. What's going to happen to the world's population when you no longer need to work for a living? Are we going to have massive population decline because no one can earn a living, or what's going to happen? I don't know which one we're going to have first, limitless energy or robots. It's going to have to be one of the two.
We have both of them at the same time, and the robots take control of it. Oh, no.
That would be bad.
So they're saying that Microsoft is on the verge of a sudden collapse. That's Forbes is saying that.
Well, it's
and
a possibility.
This is based on this chaos math. What is it? Not chaos math. What's it called? The catastrophe theory.
Yep.
Which is an interesting piece of mathematics that shows basically how a large company or something like Microsoft responds to a small change with a big change internally, and then it creates this decline, strange behaviors, and then disaster. That makes sense.
So basically what can happen is that even though Microsoft has all these enterprise customers, and even though if you look at it, they are a relatively stable company, just the way that they're reacting to this shift in technology could help undermine them, and so they could be gone overnight.
Well, yeah, and I've seen a lot of articles about this. A lot of people are talking about the spiral of Microsoft, and then mind you, a lot of the people who are writing these blogs are sitting there typing them into their MacBooks.
Yeah.
So remember that. Always remember. That's my ride. What the hell's going on out there? Yeah, I'll be there in a minute. I'll kill Randy.
Heavens to Murgatroyd.
Anyway, so a lot of these guys are sitting there on their MacBooks typing these articles, but they all are citing things like, they're saying Google. We've got Google Docs now. We've got Open Office now. If people can move away from Exchange or these big businesses, then
well, Google's doing the Exchange thing. See, maybe a better way to explain it is something like this already happened in the 80s. See, in the 80s, before Excel, there was this amazing spreadsheet called Lotus 123, and Lotus 123 dominated the market. Microsoft made Excel. Excel had a hard time making inroads because Lotus 123 was everywhere. So how did Microsoft take over overnight? Well, it wasn't until Excel could export Lotus 123. And then an office could upgrade, and all the other offices that they communicate with that had not upgraded, they could still talk to.
But we're going to be able to do that with Google now.
Yep, exactly.
So that could be really bad for Microsoft. Also, the other thing that's really interesting with Microsoft, which is a kind of a strange decision, maybe a good decision, maybe a bad decision, but they're now taking the serial number that you normally have, like when you buy a new computer, it's taped onto the bottom of your laptop, or there'll be a little sticker that has your serial number like on the side of the thing, or when you purchase the version of Microsoft from the store that comes in a box copy, it's got the like this here. It's got the serial number just inside the booklet. Well, now they're going to embed the serial number into the firmware. So when you purchase like a tablet or a laptop, every time you reinstall Windows, it's just going to validate through the firmware. Now, this could be good and bad for a lot of different things. I don't think we're going to see this in the components sector.
Historically,
that would be strange.
Historically, OEMs have something similar.
Yeah.
But it's one product key in all of their machines.
Yeah,
Every machine is different.
It's like a Dell, and then you have like one Dell product key, then it'll cover this many machines or whatever.
Yep. So as long as you're reinstalling on a Dell, it never matters. It's never a hassle.
As long as every Dell has a unique embedded product key in the firmware, and you can install Windows multiple times, and it'll always validate based upon that, then it should be okay. If they start trying to do this with the OEM stuff and with the the components crowd, it's going to be a mess.
Yes,
like a huge mess. And I don't think they're that stupid.
The situation that is probably not covered in this that's really going to piss me off is there's a thing that could happen with virtualization where you can boot up Windows natively on a laptop, but then you could boot into Linux and boot your Windows machine in a virtual machine. Well, when you boot Windows in a virtual machine, it bitches about activation because it thinks it's not on the same machine anymore.
Right.
But that is a super convenient way to run Windows, is you can run most things through emulation, but for stuff that needs direct access to the hardware, you can reboot the same installation of Windows on the native hardware. Yeah, Mac people do that a lot, and I can't help but think this is designed to undermine that.
It'd be really bad. Well, there's going to have to be a crack. I mean, whenever they do something like this, someone else is one step ahead. This is where we're going to speculate a little bit. Is Microsoft really going to crash? Are they in for a collapse? Is this like, this their downward spiral? Or is there something they can do to save the company? Now, we saw this with Apple. Apple was in big trouble, right? And they got the CEO from Pepsi over. What was his name?
Scully.
Scully, yes. And Jobs loved him at first, and then Jobs hated him, and then Jobs got fired. And Scully ran the thing and almost ran Apple into the ground. And then they got rid of Scully and brought Steve Jobs back, and he had like a cape on. He was like, "Oh, Jobs is back,"
Well, while he was gone, he had some stuff to do with, I think, Pixar and Next.
And, he really did help Pixar a lot. I mean, sociopath or not, he did help Pixar a lot. I'm not sure what was going on with Next, but a lot of the things he was doing at Next ended up being used at Apple.
Yeah, Apple ended up buying Next because he was like, we're going to do this and it's going to be awesome. I think that if Jobs had not left Apple, he would not have had the success that he had in later years.
Yeah.
Because he had to go find himself or whatever.
He had to go humble himself at least a little.
Yep.
Probably the two things combined. So some people are saying maybe Bill Gates can come back because Ballmer is obviously, past his prime. Ballmer was really important in the 80s and really important in part of the 90s, but right now he's not making the right decisions for the company. He doesn't want to retire until 2017, 2018. And in a recent interview here with Daily Tech, they asked Bill Gates, are you going to come back? What's going to go on? And he was like, no, just absolutely not. And he's really, really loyal to Ballmer. But what if Ballmer got fired, or they sat down and talked to him like, Ballmer, listen.
Yeah, early retirement.
And they were like, yeah, we'll give you an early retirement. You retire, graciously step back, and then Ballmer, we want you to call Bill Gates. Do you think Bill Gates would do it then if Ballmer called and was like, listen?
I don't know. It's going to be tough. I think that Bill Gates is not having any trouble filling the hours, and he's a smart guy, but he's probably done with Microsoft in that it's not really challenging anymore.
Yeah, he's a different kind of individual. Like with Steve Jobs, you got a sociopath. Steve Jobs also refused to do anything philanthropic. And when you have Bill Gates over here who has like his foundations, he's got stuff to do. He really does seem like he's moved on from Microsoft.
It's almost like he woke up one day and was like, oh, wait, I have enough money to change the course of humanity, and so it shall be.
Yeah. And I like his scholarship. He's got this one scholarship he gives to like savants who refuse to go to college. He's like, oh, you're a savant and you won't go to college, so yeah, don't waste your brain. I'll give you some money. I like his scholarship. I cited that when someone said, hey, tell my son that he needs to go to college. And I was like, well, what about this? And they were like, shut up.
I remember when he announced his retirement, he already had another company ready to go that had like 200 of the smartest people that he could find. And it's like, damn, I wonder what cool stuff they're going to come up with from that.
So that's that. Oh, this is really scary. Google is now responsible in Australia for the content that comes up in its search results. They've been found guilty of libel in a court, and they're going to have to pay $200,000 to Milorad whatever the hell that guy's name is. So this guy, he's a music promoter, and a bunch of websites were saying like, I guess bad things about him. Anyway, he sent Google the takedown notices, and Google was like, "We're not going to take down stuff from our search engine. This stuff is hosted with these different webmasters. You contact the webmasters." So the guy sued Google, who obviously is not posting this content. They're just running a search engine. Google went to court, and they were found guilty.
Yeah. So if I were Google, I would just go ahead and turn everything off for Australia because clearly they don't get it.
Yeah, I would do it too. Just right now, Australia off. Australia is also a large part of our audience is in Australia. What's up, guys? No Barbie jokes. No good day, mate. Just you guys are awesome. And your toilets flush backwards, which is awesome too.
Oh yeah, the flushing toilets backwards thing.
Yeah, just messing my head.
The Coriolis effect.
I don't know. Anyway, so I don't know. You guys need to get your pitchforks and torches and head downtown, or I don't know what. Just run around and turn cars over. I did not tell you to do that.
Why do people think this? Why? I do not understand. Why do people think this?
I don't understand why the courts didn't just go, why are you suing Google when Google didn't post any of this content? All they're doing is making the web organized. I don't understand.
I think they likened it to like newspaper publishing, like a newspaper didn't, verify their sources, but Google's not a newspaper. In a newspaper, somebody wrote the article. With Google,
they're an aggregation of all the newspaper articles ever from any place.
But it's a bot. It's not a person.
Yeah. Well, they were guilty of libel.
It's like a product liability case. It's like Google made a mousetrap, and I got my hand caught in the mousetrap. It's like, well, no, you're just stupid.
So let's talk a little bit about the UN trying to take over the internet, because that's what everyone's talking about right now. Google has an initiative going on. We talked about that last week. But we want to get to the bottom of this, because that's what we do here. We get to the freaking bottom of everything. Now, the UN wants to take over the internet, mainly because the U.S. is messing with it, and they want to mess with it because they've got their interests, and the U.S. has their interests. So it's like we're all going to get together and mess with it. But the U.S. is part of the ITU here. So is it the different entity from the U.S.? I mean, what's going on with this? What do you think, Wendell?
Okay, so if you look at this, historically, the internet has been basically run by nerds, and so
it has no master.
It's very egalitarian. It's very matter of fact. It's very logical. It's had, its hiccups here and there, but it is, he who controls the internet, like the spice.
The spice.
Yeah. So this basically the motivation here. The U.S. has already asserted control. At least they've said, because everything, .coms go through VeriSign.
Not only .coms, .org and .net go through VeriSign as well, and they want to have jurisdiction over all domains that end in .com, .net, .org.
No matter where they're hosted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
they go right through us.
And that, the UN, that kind of thing makes the UN nervous. It makes a lot of other countries nervous because we could suddenly start trying to decide to route traffic through us. China did that. There was some sort of networking.
Their genius idea.
Yeah, it's like there was some sort of networking issue where internet traffic was being routed through China because somebody in China had said, "Oh, this is a very low cost route to get your traffic from."
Yeah, so if we want to go from Texas to California, it's much easier to go through China.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Great.
So it was like, well, what can we do? Blah blah blah. So the UN's worried about that kind of thing, but they don't really have any experience running the internet. But basically, the internet is becoming a source of power, and he who controls, the internet controls the minds of the people.
So that's what's really going on, guys. It's the UN vying for control and all their private interests, and the U.S. vying for control with all its private interests, and it's all very secretive, and it's not bad. I mean, it's not good for us either way. So just keep that in mind while you're freaking out about the UN. The alternative is the U.S. trying to gain more control, and then both sides are probably going to happen simultaneously.
Well, think about it this way. We built a global telephone network, but it took the internet before we became a global village.
They don't like our global village.
They do not.
We have talked in the past about these ridiculous porn companies suing anybody who BitTorrents. They just look at traffic and they're like, "That's BitTorrent. Let's embarrass these people by asking them to give us money because we'll call them up. We'll have like Steve call them up and be like, hey, we're a lawyer representing this porn company, and we think you're downloading porn because we saw you had some torrent traffic. So give us money and we'll go away and we won't sue you." And people give them money. Well, anyway, Verizon refused their subpoena because Verizon was like, "This is protected data and you guys do not get it." So now these porn companies, including Malibu Media and Third Degree Films, is suing Verizon. So that's pretty interesting. We'll see how that pans out. And at the same time, guess what's going on in Canada? For the last several months, Canada's been a very free and open society as far as the internet goes, by and large. Well, now, thanks to Canapri, that's the company, they've been monitoring millions of you guys up there in Canada for the last several months, and they haven't been saying much about it, but they have incriminating BitTorrent information on about 1 million of you guys up in Canada. And they are going to start sending letters. I mean, they're saying that they could take legal action, but here's what's going to happen. They're going to start sending you guys letters saying like, hey, it's a mafia tactic. It's like a strong arm thing. They're going to give us money or else you're in big trouble. And guess what? This Canapri company, they're associated with porn idiots again. It's these porn companies. Do they not have enough money? Does naked people not make any money anymore?
Well, I think, my theory about the whole Verizon thing is that they probably don't have a good idea of who was actually using that IP.
No, they don't.
They don't really want to admit that, so it's just going to be random people. It's going to be grandmas and stuff
yeah,
like
anybody
that.
If they see BitTorrent traffic, they're going to just harass you until you give them money. That's all it is. It's a bully tactic, and there's not a lot of anything behind it. And in a lot of cases, these people have not even touched pornography on the internet. They've just they just downloaded a BitTorrent. They saw the traffic, and they were like, "Get them." We'll embarrass them. The alternative is being embarrassed in front of everybody, in front of the world, because you get sued for downloading porn. So that's going on in Canada. I'm sorry for you guys. Let me know if you need any help. If you guys can find out anything about this Canapri thing, let me know.
Probably going to end badly.
Yeah, it's probably going to end really badly. And if you guys are tough, you guys know what to do. Find out where these guys are and then take it straight to them. Show up with your hay forks and mattocks. Do you guys have used mattocks up there to break soil? That's what we use around here, mattocks. Use it to break the soil around their house and dig a big hole. I don't know.
He's kind of a nice guy, Maddox.
Yeah, Maddox.
I don't know where that came from. I'm sorry.
Have you seen the time?
Rant 30.
Oh, God, it is Rant 30. A little girl, her house was raided. A 9-year-old girl. She downloaded one freaking album. Pissed off Warner Music so much that they got in touch with the local thugs, which is a pirate, which is an anti-piracy organization by the name of CIAPC over there in Finland. And they sent the father a letter and said, hey, your daughter downloaded this one album from Chinsu, which is a Finnish artist. I believe she's Finnish, but music's whatever. If you like it, you like it, whatever. And you must pay us $600. damages for one album that your daughter downloaded. Now, let's do the math here. I think that's a little off because one album is what? About, 6 to 10 euros? Am I right? Am I wrong? Maybe it's 20 euros? I don't know. Even if it's 20 euros, 600 euros. So the dad says absolutely not. So what do? They take money out of the public purse. They get the local police officers to do their bidding. This is like the way the mob works, you know? The mob, they call up their hitman, Vinny. So the police are going to be from now on known as Vinny. So Vinny goes over to the little girl's house. I'm not sure if they knock down the door or not, but for the purposes of dramatization, they kick down the door, they go inside, they punch the father in the face. This is all dramatization still, and everything I'm saying is alleged or maybe untrue. But they do, truthfully, take the laptop.
Her
and
Winnie the Pooh laptop. It was a Winnie the Pooh laptop.
I can't take it anymore. Into the coffee cup, $2, Chuck.
Oh, God, he's drinking again.
That's a lot.
But it's not too much for this Rant 30 segment.
No, it is not. All right, so there's an interesting article over here on torrentfreak.com, and they're saying that this girl is going to become a martyr. Let's talk about all the other problems that this is going to start just off the bat. We've already mentioned that they took money out of the public purse to, I guess it's their corporate agenda, really, because what's happened here is that they have alleged that the girl did something. They haven't even proven this yet because they're basing all this off of an IP address. So they haven't even gone to court, and they're using the local police force, and they're using the money from the public purse to harass this poor little girl. And they could have easily just taken her to court, don't you think?
That would have probably been better.
Well, I mean, I guess they needed the evidence or whatever, but the way they handled this thing, sending a police force in, spending $20,000, $30,000 of public money.
Well, even okay, yes, that's insidious, but it's also insidious that it's like, you need to pay us, otherwise we're going to send Vinny. And
that's that's the message they want to send everybody, and that's the big problem here is that they want every other kid to think about this 9-year-old. And what's even more insidious is the local police force. You know, they get the notification from Warner Music, and they're like, "Hey, you guys understand this is a 9-year-old girl?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna get her." They realized what they were doing. They didn't it's not like they broke the door down. They're like, "Hey, you old, wait a second, it's the girl." Oh, sorry. No, they knew it was a 9-year-old girl, and they decided, yeah, we're going to go ahead with this raid. We're going to do this. Meanwhile, the Chinsu, the musical artist involved, she doesn't want this to happen. She didn't know this was really going on. I mean, she's just doing her thing. She's an artist. She found out this was happening, and she was like, "Oh God," and she had to.
She was getting all sorts of unhappy letters from fans.
More than unhappy. That was such a nice way to put it. This wine has no tannins. Sorry. Unhappy? They were livid in the public outcry. People who didn't even know about her all of a sudden know her and hate her immediately. They don't even "Oh, yes, we hate this girl." Ugh. So now she had to release a press release saying that I have nothing to do with this. I don't want anything to do with this. I want the little girl to be fine, etc., etc., etc. Trying to clear her name, but permanent damage has been done to her career.
Oh, and the album wasn't actually even the album. The album was actually put out there by the company themselves, which was fake data.
So, she is now a victim of phishing?
Yes, basically. They created the situation.
Wine from a coffee cup. That's where we've gotten in this show. So anyway, Torrent Freak thinks that she's going to be sort of a martyr. They also think that some of the politicians are going to see this. The public outcry is all going to come together and hopefully move things in the right direction, but...
We don't think so.
No, we don't think so.
Okay, so what's really going to happen probably is politicians are going to look at this, and they don't understand it, but there's going to be this rush of lobbyists from like the cable industry and the content creator industries, and they're going to say, look, we need to lock down the internet. We need to make sure that when somebody signs up in an ISP, that they can only get to these approved websites or these whitelisted websites or whatever. Because it's already happened. That's already on the agenda. That's already on the docket, as it were.
Yay, good excuse for tiered networks. So yeah, that's Rant 30. Predictions on that are grim at best. Wouldn't you say?
Well, we've already, as a society, when we're worried about 9-year-old girls downloading albums to the extent that we can send a police force to raid a private residence, a threshold has already been crossed.
And the guys meddling don't know what they're doing. That's the big problem. They're like, we don't know what we're doing. So that's where the real problem is. Even if the politicians are outraged, they don't know what they're meddling with. So that's the problem. That's the crux of the matter. That's the heart of the issue, and other such phrases like that.
Well, at some point, we got the enlightenment that, there's a need of freedom of speech. But if we go to the next level of enlightenment, we almost need freedom of information.
Well, they never anticipated that information would flow this freely. Even with speech, you still had to, back in the day when freedom of speech came out, you still had to get a guy on a pony to ride across the country, and you could take him out with a shotgun.
Yep, yeah, I guess that's true. But now it's direct, it's individual to individual. There's no middleman that can alter the meaning of the message.
Yeah, I wonder how the policies and things of the day would have changed if they had immediate access to information globally as we do now. Who knows? Maybe they would have thought it was groovy, but I doubt it. Talk about hardware, shall we? Now, the latest news in hardware. The chip after Haswell. Haswell's going to be coming after Ivy Bridge. And if you don't know what we're talking about right now, we're talking about Intel CPUs. They all have a fun name like Sandy Bridge and Sandy Bridge E and Ivy Bridge. And then now we've got Haswell. After that, we've got Broadwell. Well, Haswell's going to be the standard LGA, which is, like you have your CPU, you put it in a socket, and then you have your desktop or you have your laptop or whatever. Well, Broadwell is going to be on board. So just like you have with Atom, the CPU is there, it is soldered to the board, and if you want a different motherboard, you're going to have to change out your CPU as well. That's what they're saying. This is sort of speculation at this point. I can't imagine that they're going to be doing this for the entire components crowd, but who knows? This could be possible. What do you think the implications of this are?
Well, okay, so this is already happening with laptops and ultrabooks and all of that. So because it's already happening with laptops and ultrabooks, it's not really that big of a deal. And in the desktop market, it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah, we're still going to hit our speed. What you'll see is you'll probably see less and more variety of motherboards. Like you'll probably see less flavors of, like right now we have the Z77 and the X79. And you have like 9 different flavors. You have like an Uber, a middle, and an upper ground. You'll probably just see one good motherboard with 3 different CPU implementation options. That's what I'm thinking if this sort of thing happens.
You can get the i3, the i5, or the i7. Maybe the i7 Extreme, maybe.
Yeah, and maybe an i5 Extreme if they've some of these companies have like 10 different options with the same motherboard. So who knows?
We could also see OEMs come up with their own form factor. Like there's a carrier board. You guys remember the old slot processors? Maybe it'll be a return to that where it's soldered onto a card and then you put the card in.
I can imagine that's going to happen now, but
yeah, it seems like the logistics of that will be really hard because there's so many interconnects on a CPU now.
Yeah, that would be a soldering miracle, especially when we start getting to the sub 20 nanometer manufacturing process. Then it's going to get a little bit crazy.
The speed of electricity through wire is too slow.
And the heat
that
it's going to generate, and especially if it's in that small of an area, it's going to be a lot of heat. All right, let's talk about science. Interesting new thing here. Possible way to build a fusion reactor. You sent me this, Wendell. I have not watched this yet, but everyone else should watch it. I'll watch it after we're finished here with this.
It's just a neat video on a fusion reactor idea. It's just neat. It's like, how does fusion? It's like, well, here you go. Here's have 6 magnetic coils.
Now we are right on the verge of discovering several new types of matter. Now they've had some interesting things happen over at the LHC. They've been colliding particles.
I think this is the data analysis from stuff they were doing. They were, it's like lead ions were involved, and the things were shooting off of the lead ions, but they were going in the same direction.
As if they were entangled.
Yeah.
So what was the proposed?
It seems like it's proof that they're being carried along on a gluon plasma wave.
Like a plasma wave, yeah.
So
they think they think they now have enough proof that there is this gluon plasma wave that's pulling them together. So could that be what's causing the entanglement, or?
Yeah, Or
could that just be a byproduct of that?
That'll answer some questions with regard to dark matter because, over 70% of the matter in the universe we don't seem to be able to observe, but mathematically it's there, at least in our equations.
Well, we have to have something there because gravity, Newtonian gravity, that's not the way gravity works. That's not real gravity.
Yep.
Gravity is a bending of space and time.
Yep.
So dark matter, it doesn't really interface with our matter in our universe in any way except for the gravitational pull. It's the only thing that makes sense when you add in the 70%, 70 or 77% or something like that of the universe. We only see like 0.003% of the universe, but dark matter is the missing part of the equation, but dark matter has not been proven yet. So they say they've been observing a large chunk of dark matter right now, and I'm not sure where this is going to go, but they are saying that dark matter problem may soon be solved, which would be a really big deal because a lot of scientists have started to come out and offer alternative theories and crazy theories and good theories and bad theories.
It's a missing piece of the puzzle.
And we really need that because we have hit so many brick walls right now. It is time for a breakthrough. So a breakthrough of that magnitude could be quite interesting, and we'll see where that goes, and we can discuss the implications. But whoever discovers dark matter and actually like puts a stamp on it. This has been discovered. This is official, and it's, you know, here's a peer review that says that my results are accurate. Well, then we are in good shape, and you're going to win a Nobel Prize. So that'd be really cool if we have a Nobel laureate in our audience.
Yeah, totally. Send us the info. We'll break the news here. It'll be great.
We'll have cake. That was a lie.
We won't understand it, but it'll be great.
No, we'll try to understand it though. This is also pretty cool. Scientists have been trying to develop devices that run on the energy that comes from our body, like the heat and the electronic pulses that go through our body. The idea here is to be able to put something in your body that does not need to come out and have the battery changed all the time, like a hearing aid or a heart defibrillator or something like that. The problem is that, you know, the different energies that come from our body are varied, like dramatically varied. Sometimes they're on, sometimes they're off, sometimes they're high, sometimes they're low. And it's just, they're minuscule. They have a chip they've been able to put into a guinea pig's ear, and it's actually running based, or just, you know, drawing the power from the guinea pig. The guinea pig is the battery. That's pretty cool. That's not going to be out for several years, but that's what they're working on. And it could, I mean, who knows where that technology could go. As things need less and less power, we could see very interesting implants. I'm not even going to talk about this whole Sasquatch business. They have DNA evidence now for Sasquatch. I've been here all along, guys. Thanks for making fun of me.
My great-grandfather was a West Virginian Sasquatch.
Yeah, we know about it. We've got Sasquatch. Like, all you have to do is just go outside in Kentucky and you're like, Sasquatch, Sasquatch. There's so much proof just walking around the streets of Kentucky. And if you want to really see a Sasquatch, go like Mississippi, Alabama. And you can just tell that there are a lot of people there who are inbred with Sasquatch. It's true. Northern Florida. How much trouble am I in for this, you think?
Oh, it's going to be bad. It's going to be very bad. It is not going to end well.
It's a good thing we didn't talk about this today. So you can use your Connect with Gary's mod now. It's going to be a lot of fun. I bought Gary's mod a long time ago, but it looked like a time sink, so I never got into it. But now you can hook up your Connect to your PC. This is not the Xbox version. This is for your PC, and you can dance around, and it will, you know, do the animation stuff.
Yay. I need this for Team Fortress 2.
That's about it. Anything else we need to talk about today? Thanks for watching, subscribe, and all that business. I hope you enjoyed it. Better enjoy it, or else I'll... No, I save all the threats for the inbox, so you got to watch the inbox to see me threaten you guys. There's a lot of people that don't watch the inbox. I'm not sure why you don't, because it's where we really interface and become a family, and I threaten you.
We need more subscribers. Let your friends know. We're kind of entertaining. Remember, you need to laugh at us, not with us. I mean, I don't know.
You know what? Laugh at us? That's not nice. Oh, God. Let's subscribe up there. See you guys next time. Bye. Okay, I opened this wine and these gnats. What the hell?
I have no idea.
Guys, it's gnat funny. Stop it. Stop it. I want to drink my wine. They love wine. We got a bunch of drunk gnats around here. Flying into walls.